Welcome back to the DLOH. I am so glad you're here. Today we're going to be discussing a topic that affects all of us. Fear. We all experience fear, whether it's anxiety about the future, fear of failure, or even phobias that seem irrational but feel very real. What actually happens in our brains when we feel fear? And more importantly, how can we manage it so it doesn't control our decisions and well-being? Let's explore the science of fear and how to take back our power. Let's get into it. Fear is a survival mechanism. Our brains are wired to detect threats and react accordingly. When we sense danger, our brain kicks into high gear, specifically in the amygdala. That's the part of the brain that is responsible for processing emotions like fear. The amygdala sends signals to the hypothalamus, which then triggers the fight or flight response, which are composed of 5 elements: fight, flight, freeze, faint, or fawn. This response releases stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, preparing us to either face the threat or escape from it. While this response is essential for survival, think running from a dangerous animal or reacting quickly to avoid a car accident, it can also be triggered by modern day stressors like work pressure, social anxiety, or even overthinking about the future. When fear becomes chronic, it can lead to issues like anxiety disorders, difficulty making decisions, and even long-term health problems. When fear takes over, it can affect multiple aspects of our lives. Fear can lead to risk aversion, which thus impacts our decision making. We can avoid taking necessary steps towards growth, whether in our careers, relationships, or personal goals. Chronic fear can impact our mental health overall. It can contribute to anxiety, depression, and burnout. The stress response from fear can weaken the immune system, thus impacting physical health. It can increase our risk for heart disease and contribute to digestive issues. Essentially, while fear is natural, when it's unchecked, it can limit us from living fulfilling and meaningful lives. So how do we manage fear and retrain our brains? The good news is that we don't have to be controlled by fear. Our brains have neuroplasticity. This means they can change and adapt based on our thoughts and behaviors. Here are some evidence-based strategies to manage fear. Replacing fearful thoughts with rational perspectives reduces anxiety. This process is called cognitive reframing. Challenge irrational fears by asking, is this fear based on fact or assumption? Deep breathing, like the box breathing technique or alternate nostril breathing, helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which calms the body down. Try some breathing exercises. There's a treatment modality called exposure therapy, which is a process of gradually facing fears or the stimulus in a controlled way. This helps the brain learn that the feared situation or stimulus isn't actually dangerous. This treatment modality is most safely done with the help of a licensed professional, like a therapist or psychologist. Practicing mindfulness reduces fear-based thinking by strengthening the prefrontal cortex, which regulates emotions. And finally, writing about fears helps process emotions and gain clarity on what's real versus what's perceived. As we explore the impact of fear on the brain, it's important to recognize that fear is not just a personal struggle. It's something that has shaped history. Throughout Black history, we see countless individuals who faced uncertainty, danger, and resistance, but refused to let fear stop them from making an impact. One powerful example is Shirley Chisholm, a trailblazer who made history as the first Black woman elected to the U.S. Congress. This happened in 1986, and she later became the first Black woman to run for President of the United States in 1972. Chisholm's campaign slogan, "Unbought and Unbossed," spoke to her fearless determination to challenge a system that was not built for her. Imagine the pressure she faced. Constant criticism, blatant racism, and even death threats. Yet instead of letting fear silence her, she embraced the challenge. She once said, "I am, was, and always will be a catalyst for change." She understood that fear was present, but she refused to let it dictate her actions. Instead of retreating, she moved forward, making it clear that representation and justice were worth fighting for. Her story reminds us that fear does not have to be a stop sign. It can be a motivator. Whether in politics, personal growth, or everyday life, we can all take a lesson from Chisholm's courage and push forward despite uncertainty. Another example of fearless leadership is James Baldwin, a writer, activist, and one of the most profound voices on race and identity in America. Baldwin spoke truth to power during a time when doing so came with immense personal risk. As a Black gay man in mid-20th century America, he challenged both racial and societal norms through his writing and speeches, never shying away from the uncomfortable truths about racism and the struggle for justice. Baldwin once said, "Not everything that is faced can be changed, but nothing can be changed until it is faced." He understood that fear, whether fear of rejection, violence, or being unheard, was real, but he also knew that confronting those fears was the only way to create change. Like Baldwin and Chisholm, we too can move forward with purpose even when uncertainty looms. Fear is a part of being human, but it doesn't have to define us. When we understand how fear works in the brain, we can take control and train ourselves to respond rather than react. So the next time you feel fear creeping in, take a deep breath, challenge your thoughts, and remind yourself you are capable of handling whatever comes your way. If you found today's episode helpful, please share it with someone who might need to hear it. Let's keep this conversation going. Connect with me on social media and let me know, what fears are you working to overcome? Until next time, take care and stay empowered.
To say hello, oh, oh, hello.